Hi, I would like to show you the add-on LMGP transfer weights that I made. I made it because Blender lacked a function that I found could be useful. So let's say you have a mesh with a rig. This is taken from Mixamo library, it's just an example. You already have a mesh, and a mesh has all its weights for each part of the body. Let's say that you wanna paint something with grease pencil on it. I could think to put the armature in its rest position like this. So I select the armature, pause, rest. When it's in rest position, armature modifier doesn't work. You can achieve the same thing, leaving it pause in pause position, but deactivating the armature modifier. Here I have two meshes, and so if I deactivate both of them, even if the armature is in position and I can hide it, now the character has no movement. But the easiest way, if you have many meshes, is just to select the armature and choose rest position. Now I can create a new grease pencil object. I'll start with empty, and now in draw mode I use this marker. Instead of origin I choose surface, and with a slight offset 1 millimeter. Now when I paint, I'm painting on the surface of the object. What's the problem with that? If I activate the rig, the drawing doesn't move. What should I do? Parent the drawing with the armature. I can choose, let's say, automatic weights. It might work, but as you see, it doesn't work always. I should draw the weights on the grease pencil object in weight paint or in edit mode. I could assign all these vertices to the head, and now the drawing moves with the rest of the body because I gave the correct weights. If this wasn't a grease pencil object but a mesh, there is a modifier transfer weights that I could use to transfer the same weights of a mesh to another, but in grease pencil I don't have the transfer weight. So the add-on I made is to do the same of a transfer weights modifier. I create another grease pencil object and I draw something new. And now transferring weights would be very easy with this add-on. So first of all, you have to install the add-on. The easiest way is to drag the zip file of the add-on onto Blender, and you have this window, install from disk, and you click with enable, you click OK, and now the add-on is installed. You can check it in Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and you can find LMGP transfer weights. You can install it also from here, install from disk, and find the zip file is the same thing. So when the add-on is installed and active, in the N panel you can find the grease pencil section that is also shared by other Blender add-ons that are relative to grease pencil. Find the source mesh and the target grease pencil. I have two meshes, 1 and 2. So I have to join them to have one mesh. You can also create a duplicate for this. So I duplicate both and I join them, change the name with joined, just because I need a source mesh. So I choose this, joined, and then the grease pencil object that is a target, this one. And so now that these two are selected, they stay selected even if you select something else in your scene, they stay here. This button, delete unlocked weights, is useful if your grease pencil object has already weights. As an example, I created 3 groups. Now if I lock this group and I click delete all unlocked weights, you see all were deleted, but not the locked one. So I unlock and I delete. You could find the same function here with delete all unlocked groups, but in Blender 4.2 there isn't this option, and so I made this button for the users before Blender 4.3. The weight transfer could work in two ways. The original, it means that the weight will be transferred from the original position of the mesh, the rest position, because if the mesh is in pose position, you see the drawing doesn't correspond. Put the armature in rest position and use original. Max distance works this way. An example, I go in draw mode again. This is far from the mesh, but I could also have drawn something near the mesh this way. If I leave max distance to 0 and I click transfer weights, you have to wait a bit. If you check in the console, there are information about what it's being done. While Blender is locked, you can find information to see how it's going. Remember to toggle system console before clicking transfer weights. Now, the grease pencil object has all the same weights of the mesh. If I go back to pose position, the drawing doesn't move because it isn't parented to the armature. I have to parent it, and I could use just armature deform because I already have the weights. And now you see the weights are correctly transferred and the drawing moves exactly with the mesh underlying. Since the distance was 0, all the pieces, even this that is far, has been transferred. I show you how to use max distance. I move a bit away this drawing. I want these two pieces to be weighted, but not this one. If I want to do this, I just have to put here the correct distance. You can use the measure tool. This distance is enough to take all the points of this. So I can use 0.09. Now that I have 0.09, I can do the same thing again. So delete all the weights that I already done. I could also transfer again without the delete, and they would have been overwritten, but it's safer this way. I click transfer again, pose position, and you see this drawing has received no weights because it's further than 0.09. So you have this option if there is something that you don't want to skin. Now, this is the best way to work on the mesh in its initial position. But let's say that you wanna draw with the mesh already in position, maybe because you wanna draw something different on each frame. Let's say that I create a new layer with other drawings. So let's say that I wanna do something on some frames. So I go here and I insert a new keyframe and I draw something new on this layer. Obviously, it stays in this place because this layer has no weights. And when I go to another frame, I could draw something new with a new blank keyframe. I could also change the original drawing. So let's say that in the original layer, I want to add something in the first frame. So I'm here and I could draw it, but now it stays still because it doesn't have weights. I add some details, but as you can see, I'm adding them with the mesh already in position. Now I have this new situation that is more difficult to handle because it's not drawn in the rest position of the armature. In this case, I have to use the each frame option. It's slow and the drawing will change slightly because the system has to put the correct weights, but has also to move this drawing in the position as they were drawn in rest position. So do the opposite transform, and the opposite transform is made looking for the nearest vertex according to the density of this mesh. That could be some errors. Let's say that this part of drawing that is between these two vertices can receive the weights of one of these 4 vertices according to which is the nearest. When transferred, they are not exactly in the same position, and the less dense the mesh, the more probable is some jittering of these lines. The best thing to do is to apply armature all keyframes. I could also remove the parenting of the grease pencil object, so now I'm sure that the grease pencil object is not driven anymore by the armature. The drawings are in their position without any modifiers. In this case, I wanna skin everything, and so I don't lock any layers, but remember, you can lock a layer if you want to, not to process it. And also, if you already have vertex groups made for other reasons, you can also lock them and be sure that they won't be touched. And now I click transfer with each frame. We have to wait. This will be slower. Okay, it has finished. It didn't take very long because the drawing was not so big. As you can see, there is the jittering I was talking you about. Obviously, it is in original position because it doesn't have the connection with the armature. So I just have to do it. Parenting with armature deform. And as you can see, is in place, and it moves with the armature. One solution to this jittering is also to use a modifier. One solution I find is to use the smooth modifier. You have to put it before the armature, and it could do a better job, but also, so the shrink wrap modifier put before with the target on the same mesh. You can smooth a bit the surface, and you can try with one of the other options. When you've done, you have to apply it, and as you can see, it works now. We lost the balloon because of the shrink wrap. A better solution could be to have a more dense mesh underneath. I undid the last operations and I went back. One thing I can do is to use the source mesh with a more dense geometry. It would be very slow, but it will work better. I can add subdivision surface modifier before the armature. I'll choose 2 levels of subdivision and apply it. Then now I have this finer geometry to transfer. Every vertex subdivided has received the correct weight, so you just have to wait more. I click transfer weights. For each stroke, it has to find the nearest vertex between all the vertices of the mesh. Have patience and wait. Okay, it took a lot more time, and the more dense your mesh is, the more it will take. But as you can see, the result is better in the transformation. All the drawings are skinned, and also in the new layers, you can see we have the drawings layer with more keyframes, and now they follow correctly the mesh. Obviously, you can still draw. If you do something in sculpt mode, you have no problems because the weight will be the same. But if you do new drawings, just remember that they won't have the weights. You can still change, but if I draw something new, it won't be driven by the armature unless I do the same process again, maybe putting it on another layer and locking the layers that have already been processed. So this is how it works, the GP transfer weights. I think it's very useful because Blender lacked this function to transfer weights to grease pencil. Remember that the original method works better, is faster, and makes no changes to the position and so to the appearance of the drawings. But this each frame is very peculiar. Maybe sometimes you want to draw on each frame with the mesh already in position. It's something that I wanted to add because in some situations it could be useful. Thank you very much, and goodbye.